Hello, guys. Yeah, this is Timo Starboy, Reality Talk TV. Welcome to my page. Yeah, everybody, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. And for those people who are already sleeping, good night. Yeah, don't carry and come again. Oh, it seems that WAHALA be like dustbin where they throw inside gutter. And if you finish all the time, they are just the throw. Now wow. Why is it that this TINUBU trouble no dey comot for im neck? Why? Only one person, only one man. Why is it trouble all the time? Trouble left and right, front, back, center. It seems that Kama is real. Nemesis is knocking, is ringing the bell on this man door. Nemesis, all the bad things that this man don do, it's payback time now. It's payback time for him, because I don't know why this guy is so much trouble around this man. Only one man, only one man. Everywhere, here and there, they just dey knack am trouble, and he no fit comot. What is going on? This man need to come clean. If I were you, I will just throw the towel for now. I will throw the towel, say I no dey do again. Humiliation is too much. They are just everywhere and there. They just dey slap this man. They just dey slap this man. They dey rub am anyhow, and this man no wan give up. What is it now? What is it? It's like you don't swallow wetin pass you. You don't swallow wetin pass you. You don't chew what you cannot swallow. Because everywhere na just trouble, na just problem. And this thing is just keeping arising all the time. My guys, let me just give you this video. You will know what I'm talking about. This is another problem now for this man. This is another problem. There's one in the tribunal court. Another one is arising now. So how can we face hey man, this man I don't know. You cannot survive with all this trouble, all this wahala wey dey for your neck. They are just throwing garbages on you, and they are humiliating you all around. I don't know what you have done. What's the sin you have done? You need to come clean because this one's too much. So guys, let me play you this video. You know what I'm talking about. So let's go.
In the Nigerian politics, the code of conduct Buria has
I will put it.
Governors-elect others will be sworn in on May 29.
You can hear.
Declaring their assets.
Oh, Charlie, Chris, welcome to the platform.
CCB.
Let's hear this news. This one is latest one.
That without asset declaration, no elected public official will be sworn in on May 29, 2023.
Please share. Thank you.
Spokesman for the CCB, Mrs.
Share
Naira,
it around. Let another person enjoy
in an
it.
interview that the president-elect Bola Tinubu, the vice president-elect Kashim Shettima, 28 incoming governors-elect and elected members of the national and state assemblies must declare their assets before their inauguration as stipulated by the law. Although several elected officials had started picking their asset declaration forms at the state offices of CCB, Kato maintained that under the 1999 Constitution, as amended, they are expected to submit the filled copies to the Bureau before the inauguration day. The Constitution stipulates that all public officers shall declare their assets and liabilities on assumption of office and at the end of their tenure of office. The affected officials are required to provide detailed information, including but not limited to the number, types, address, and the value of property so declared, and the date of acquisition, as well as income derivable from the properties where appropriate. Under the provisions of paragraph 11 of the 5th schedule of the Federal Constitution, failure to declare asset as required by the law attracts on conviction, removal from office, disqualification from holding any public office, and forfeiture to the state of any property acquired in abuse of office or dishonesty. Regarding the number of officials who had obtained their asset declaration forms, Cato said, we have earlier reviewed that the asset declaration in an ongoing process. Currently, they are already obtaining their forms as they are coming in. However, I can't specifically state the total number of elected officials that have collected their asset declaration forms or their names because they are getting the forms from our various offices nationwide. The development is going on in the 36 states, in 36 other offices, as we are doing it at the head office here in the Federal Capital Territory. Hence, until we are done receiving the filled forms and have committed the figures, we cannot specifically tell the total number of persons that have picked up or submitted their forms. While one of the defaulting officials will not be sworn in, the CCB spokesperson, no public official will be sworn into office without filling their asset declaration form. That is what is contained in our law before the oath of office will be conferred on any elected public officials. They must submit their asset declaration form. It is part of the requirement for the swearing-in ceremony. In compliance with the law, the outgoing public officials, she disclosed, had begun to pick the asset declaration forms as part of the requirement for exiting the office. Kanu added, the outgoing public officials had also started picking up their asset declaration forms. Many of them have started picking up the forms this week because officials are required to fill the forms and declare their asset both at the beginning and at the end of their tenure. It is indeed a very interesting time in the Nigerian politics. Many Nigerians have come out to ask questions. Why is the almighty Jagaban and his vice not yet made their assets publicly declared to the Buria? What is Jagaban waiting for? A lot of Nigerians have also expressed concern. A lot of Nigerians have expressed skepticism, saying that the almighty Jagaban may not be able to declare his asset publicly because Nigerians will get to know that he owns a larger property in Lagos State. While some others have come out to say, will Jagaban also declare the asset he owns outside of Nigeria? Well, it's an interesting time in the history of Nigerian politics. Let's keep watching while we are waiting for justice to emerge from the tribunal, so that the mandate of the people, so that the vote of the Nigerian populace who came out in their numbers to cast their vote for their favorite candidate can be restored.
So that is it. As you can hear, they say the man should declare his assets, and failure to do so, he will not be inaugurated. So that is the news we are hearing now, you know. So please share, because this one is is a big problem, you know, to the man and to his family, because too much of pressure. They are just pushing pressure up and down for this man. I don't know his sin, I don't know this man's sin, So this is another one. It's a Buhari, you know, he want to borrow 2.7 trillion again. Buhari want to borrow 2.7 trillion. I don't know. Wait till this man want take money do. Help me ask him. He want to expand his ranch, his cattle ranch. We don't know. This man waiting he want take money do. And his office now, to, you know, he will pack off in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, and he will carry his load, go maybe in Mina or I don't know, or Niger. So what is want to use the money for? You just want to dry Nigeria. You just want to drain Nigeria to the last penny. You want to destroy Nigeria before he leave office. That is all I can observe. That is what I'm thinking. Because this man, he want to shit for the table or for the share before he pack up his load. Because let's ask him, what is he want to do with the money? 2.7 trillion naira. What does he want to do with the money again? When he's about to exit from the office, you know, he is about to exit. He is about to leave his the office to another person to carry on. So why is he borrowing money without our consent? So we should ask him this question, because the way I see it, he want to destroy Nigeria before he left that office, before he vanish. He want to destroy Nigeria. He want to destroy the democracy. Because he's a I don't know. I don't know what he's thinking. I can't really get it. What this man is up to. So we should hold this man ransom. We should hold the man ransom, because this man, this is not the only eyes we can look at it. You know, we have to think about the way this man is moving now, because this is the last check for him, just to check out, to pack his baggages and load and go wherever he want to go. But now he want to destroy the country before he vamoose. So we need to question this man. No, we need to question him. We should not let him do as he want to do, because this man. Okay, let me give you the video. Let me look for the video. Sorry. This man, he has a plan, a bad one. He has a bad plan for Nigeria. Because I don't know, in the first place, what does he want to use the money for? 2.7 trillion. This is not a small money. It's not a joke. You just want to paralyze the country and just go away with the useless idea he's bringing. So we need to ask him question, to hold him ransom. Please, all Nigeria, we should wake up. Let's wake up. Let's wake up. We are dozing too much. We are dozing. There's all these bad people, these evil peoples, our politicians. I'm just looking for the video. Okay.
Request for the National Assembly to restructure the sum of 22.719 trillion naira Ways and Means advances was met with suspicion and opposition by federal lawmakers in the Senate.
I'm sorry.
The President, in his letter to the Senate, which was rather...
The money is 22.7 trillion. 22.7 trillion, as you can hear. 22.7 trillion. This man want to borrow again. After he has borrow. Make we stand up for this man. No, make we stand up. Make we stand up and ask him, what do you want to use this money for? We don't need to borrow again. We have resources. We have mineral resources. This man just want to drain Nigeria. He want to collapse the country before he go. He want to collapse the country. He want to paralyze the country. So why is he borrowing money again? We don't need to borrow. We have mineral resources to cover up. The debt they have been borrowed now, they never pay. Who is going to pay that one? So let's stand up, let's stand up, youth. Nigeria people, stand up with this man. This man is a foreigner. He doesn't care. He cares less. He cares less. I'm just shouting on my own, no. I'm shouting on my platform. Make we stand toe to toe with this guy. Make we stand upright with this guy. You know, this is why he's going to destroy the country. He's going to stabilize the country before he go, before he pack his baggages and go. I don't know where he's going. Maybe Senegal or Sudan. Because this man doesn't have IQ. He doesn't have anything upset. So let's ask him. Let's challenge him. So let me play the video.
The floor on December 21st, 2022, explains that the Ways and Means advances
22.7 trillion.
Bank of Nigeria,
It's not a joke.
funding of delayed receipt of fiscal deficits.
Huh?
The Ways and Means request was raised for debate on the floor of the Senate on December 28th.
Very hopeless people.
81 to 83. Some senators were opposed to approving the overdraft, explaining that it contravenes the Constitution and the CBN Act. This caused a rowdy session on the floor.
22.7 trillion. Abba, Buhari, Muhammadu Buhari.
Mr. President,
You be thief, oh.
182 of the Nigerian Constitution, 81 to 83, states clearly how expenditure can be made by the government.
Ask this man, no.
Budgeting. The next is through supplementary budget as provided in the Constitution. Now, I don't know where the law comes from, where we have to spend money or restructure expenditures through Ways and Means.
Distinguished, excuse me, please, just let me say something. There is nothing before the Senate now. There is nothing. Technically,
All these stupid senators. They will not talk anything
The
good
report cannot be presented because we have no laws in the land.
because they are eating from the
that
money.
covers anything called
No, why the report should be presented is for us to know what happened.
The issue is that such payments, such money that are taken, as soon as they are taken, the Senate should be informed. And then we look at it, or we should be advanced with information, a request that such money is going to be taken. Because it's being taken on behalf of the people of Nigeria. And we are entrusted with the power to make laws. And we will not appropriate, according to the law of the Constitution, we can appropriate. They don't just ask for the fund. The fund must be asked in accordance with a requirement or request that we are using this fund for A, B, C, D, E every year. And that in the next year, if they want to take another one, this one should have been paid. Should have been paid at the end of the year that it was granted. Now, we are giving a bulk sum of 22.7 trillion. 23 years. Hold on. 23 that is added to the 850 or something billion. That one has to be apart.
They say 23.
But 22.719 trillion. Mr. President, it will be an abuse of our personal self.
Abba,
And
Buhari.
privilege that we come here and it was requested that we have spent this money on behalf of Nigerians. In the
Buhari native, oh.
and approve it without details.
Thereafter, the Senate set up an ad hoc committee to liaise
Buhari
with the
native.
Ministry of Finance to get details of what the monies were spent on. The matter was hotly debated across the country, with analysts describing the huge amount of overdraft as an example of fiscal indiscipline by the federal government and the CBN, and alarmed that the move would hike Nigeria's official debt load by more than half, propelling the country's debt stock to 77 trillion naira by May 2023, according to a forecast by the Debt Management Office. They also faulted the National Assembly for allowing the federal government to disregard the CBN Act, restricting outstanding loans to 5% of the previous year's budget, and mandating that the funding be repaid within the same financial year.
They should now chart the pragmatic part, the part of least pain, the part that
Thank
will
you,
cost
thank
the
you.
treasury the least, because the law has been violated and there's nothing anybody can do.
Federal government can run to a bank, in this case the central bank, which is the government bank, to collect an advance. But according to the Act, it must not be more than 5% of the central banks, of the federal
Abba,
government.
Buhari, Shege, Barau, Bansa.
Somebody has raised concerns about Ways and Means.
Buhari,
Until
Shege,
recently,
Barau, Bansa.
last year, November, it was published that 6.3 trillion
Making a shout thief,
was
oh.
collected by federal government. That is from January to October. The federal government has collected almost equivalent when you prorate the expected revenue for last year. When you prorate it, that's what government collected in ways. So the caution around Ways and Means has been thrown into the air. And the government just saw that as another loan means without And you know, because it's an advance, it's more like quote and unquote another overdraft of some sort. You don't go to National Assembly for such because you know you are anyways going to pay back almost immediately. Your spending will still be within what the National Assembly has approved.
But on Wednesday, May 3rd, the ad hoc committee, which the Senate set up to liaise with the CBN, presented its report during plenary session. In the report, the committee stated that most of the requests for increase in ways and means were made to the president on the need to finance the budget because of revenue shortfalls. Part of the ways and means monies were given to state governments as loans to augment budgetary shortfalls in various states. Because of a serious shortfall in government revenue, the federal government was compelled to borrow repeatedly from the CBN, exceeding the 5% threshold of the previous year's revenue as stipulated by the CBN Act. The Ministry of Finance has concluded plans to convert the CBN loans to treasury bills and bonds. For the committee, approving the ways and means advances is a fait accompli.
The Special Committee, after exhaustive deliberations, recommends as follows: that the restructuring sum of 22 trillion 719
22
703 719 billion 703 million 774,306.9 only for ways and means advances be approved, because the advances were made to ensure that the government does not shut down. And this is something that we are always looking for. 2, that the Senate further approves the sum of 180 billion 463 million 62,187 being the money, the interest accrued on the money. You know, only being the balance of the supplementary budget and the interest accrued on ways and means advances.
Ways and means is not peculiar to our country. They become necessities, but there are procedures and processes and better ways of incurring them. First of all, the National Assembly is always there to consider the request of the executive in the national interest. And I don't see any National Assembly standing against any infrastructure development, building roads, bridges, and so on and so forth. So it is very, very important that the executive, before they incur this kind of huge,
very huge amount,
they should, in fact, it's a must that they seek the approval of the National Assembly. And where, for whatever reason, an emergency happened, it shouldn't take this kind of period before a request is sent to the National Assembly for approval.
The following day, on Tuesday,
all these people, they are thieves. They are a bunch of rogues.
Approved the 22.719 trillion naira.
This Senate, this our.
Meanwhile,
they are very, very rogue. They are thieves.
A bill to ensure strict implementation and enforcement of the National Assembly's recommendations on the annual reports from the Auditor General. The sponsor of the bill, Senator Matthew Urogide, in his debate, explains that the bill is key to fighting corruption, as it will ensure that the recommendations of the Auditor General,
all of you are corrupt,
accounts of government ministries, departments, and agencies are enforced.
The Auditor General for the Federation and his team spent enormous time to audit the account of the Federation and made recommendations which over the years have been ignored to the perils of all of us. Mr. President, my distinguished colleagues, the goal of this bill, therefore, is to ensure that a legal framework exists for the strict implementation and enforcement of the National Assembly timely decisions reached on audit reports of the Auditor General made on national annual financial dealings. This is to ensure that a level of seriousness is accorded to the audit process, while violations are strictly sanctioned within specified timelines. The bill will ensure that national audits are not just an exercise in futility, and it will be a roll call of any NDAs to understand that audit infractions can attract speedy and painful consequences. These success stories will be valuable crowns on the National Assembly and on the head of the Auditor General making him a champion in the war against corruption.
On April 5th, the Senate adopted the recommendations of a 2016 Auditor General's report, which queried several federal government ministries, departments, and agencies for financial infractions. In the 2016 report, the Auditor General issued queries to 92 MDAs, 80 of which submitted written responses and appeared before the committee to defend the queries against them. 8 submitted memoranda in response to the query.
My people, this Nigeria politician, all of them be thieves. They are a bunch of thieves. All this huge money, we don't need it. We don't need it. We have our oil. We have our mineral resources to cover up. They are just putting this thing in their pocket. It's a selfishness things to be borrowing money without no use of it. They don't use the money. Where do they use the money? Is it they give us light, or they give us road, or what did they give us? They are just putting the money in their own pocket just for their selfishness. All the money, we don't know where they are using it. We don't know the use of it. So why are they borrowing money at this late hour that Buhari is, you want to pack his baggage? We need to ask them a question. We don't just need to sit down and be looking. It is our country, because when everything fall down, everybody will smell it. So we need to shout we just need to shout on them. We need to tackle them. They should not destroy the country for us. They should not. Under what circumstances? So let me give you this Arise TV news. You know,
Nigerians,
as a Rufai, you want to
Nigerians we major in the minor.
You talk about all this
deceive ourselves. In fact, we have A1 in self-deceit. We know why all of this is happening. Why have all of this always happened historically?
It's all about this corruption
because
too.
We have an executive that
all are about this corruption, that all this madness, this Nigeria politician, they put us in. This is where we find ourselves. I don't know all this kind of gullible people we have. They cannot manage things. They cannot manage anything. Just only for them to be borrowing, to be putting it in their pocket, to be buying expensive things, luxurious things. Just like Ashiwaju, they say for the furniture, he will get I think 14 billion that we use to furnish Aso Rock. What kind of a nonsense is this? What kind of a nonsense is this? Just lavishing money anyhow, and people are suffering. There's some people, they never hit a square meal, even 3 square meal, even 2, they never hit. They never think of them, only for themselves and for their family alone. We need to stop all this nonsense. It is we need to stand with them and say enough is enough. Let's continue the video.
Is so strong. In effect, we're supposed to have 3 arms of government: executive, legislative, judiciary. But we have an executive that is so strong that has put the judiciary under its armpits, legislative under its armpits. Until recently, and kudos to President Buhari for that, for upholding financial autonomy in the judiciary. The judiciary was pretty much under the armpit of the executive, and that's why you see what happened last week, that a state governor is the one building a judiciary complex. Which judge wants to rule against him? The second part, they will quote party supremacy. And in the interest of that, they're trying to put the legislative under their armpit. You see, if we want to run a sane government, they must be co-equal arms of government.
Yeah.
And if they are co-equal arms, the party should not make input on how the legislative gets its own principal officers. They should allow them do their thing. But they say it's for the furtherance of the government. Yes, the furtherance of the government, but also because you want the government to be able to evade levels of accountability. Hence the word rubber stamp comes in. And why is everybody fighting for principal position? And some are saying they are supporting them. Because they know most of the lawmakers are going in there. They want juicy committees.
Because they have immunity. They can do whatever they want.
Speaker, or it becomes Senate president.
No judges for
influence getting you in juicy committees.
For the upper
when they say they are going to
upper
post
companies,
they get something in return.
Like president, senator, all this, wherever they call themselves.
Corruption and self and personal benefit.
Corruption people.
Until we have a national assembly that works for people, we'll not have a good country.
Yeah.
And how do we make the national assembly work for people? De-emphasize money in politics. Make all of these national assemblies people part-time workers. Only pay them for sitting. Do not pay them big fat salaries.
Yes.
Just only pay them for sitting.
Exactly.
And you see that the people that truly want to serve want to serve. A bunch of them out there are for their own personal interests and self.
They are for pocket, only pocket.
That's why you see it is only in Nigeria people take loans.
That's what we are saying.
Politics.
Only for their own pocket.
They automatically kicked aside the South.
It's not. It shouldn't be like that.
The arguments that the South is, in Obasanjo's time was given Senate president and all of that. But look at the South has been given the position of Senate president. Look at what is happening. This same South
bunch of rogues,
the position
thieves
of deputy Senate president in the last dispensation. Now they've got Senate president. The Southeast that agitated, they've got nothing. And I'm sure that the same governors, the Southeast governors that left and they say, APC will do us justice. At first they said APC was going to give them Southeast presidency. They didn't get. Now, APC at least will look at us in terms of principal officers. Now they are not looking their way. So I'm sure those governors that decamp to APC from the Southeast, I think they're going to have a rethink and look at it, because in the end, Southeast doesn't get anything. Just like the North Central is clamoring. And we also stand the chance. But the Northwest keeps saying that we provided 2.7 million votes to the incumbent. We are 26% of the National Assembly. We have 92 seats. We should be able to get our way. But you see, one thing is certain. Every generation determines its own destiny. Those in the National Assembly have a chance to determine their own destiny. I was shocked when I saw Jules Okadile State granting a joint press conference with Ifan Yoruba from the YPP, and they were talking about the need for Southeast leadership in the Senate. Probably they might be able to do a deal. Those that don't align with the APC position might be able to do a deal with the opposition party and see how they can act their way through. I don't know. It could be a game of interest. But one thing is certain. There's a big danger if we don't have co-equal arms of government. If the National Assembly is rubber stamp, it's problematic. Then we start to make faulty decisions like we made with Ways and Means, where the National Assembly, the legislature of the country, deliberately in cahoots with the federal government, the executive, broke a law that was ratified by the legislature and the executive, and signed into law by the executive, and that's the CBN Act. So that's the kind of country we build when we don't have a country of transparency, honesty, and integrity.
There's no transparency.
And this is going to
They are just doing it as if
there are for their own
it's a banana republic.
In the end, after all is said and done. Looking forward to a Nigeria where we're going to have
anything goes.
Independent, co-equal arms of government. It's only there we can effectively settle out the problems that are hitherto bedeviling the prospect and the prosperity of this country. This country will rise until when we are ready.
Exactly.
The Presidential Election Petition Tribunal has begun hearing petitions by several opposition candidates challenging Bola Tinubu's victory. It is the start of a case that could offer high-stakes drama, with the Action Alliance withdrawing its petition and court adjourning Peter Obi's petition to Wednesday. The PDP's Atiku Abubakar is also seeking live broadcasts of the court proceedings. Arise correspondent Jeffrey Ashamagai reports.
Security was beefed up at the headquarters of the Court of Appeal, which is the Presidential Election Petition Court, as nearby road intersections were cut off to traffic to ward off potential threats to security. Thorough checks were carried out on all vehicles that accessed the premises. The court was packed full with senior advocates and other lawyers fully present to represent their clients. Justice Haruna Tamani, in his welcome speech, urged counsels to shun all conduct that could amount to avoidable waste of time of the court, while pleading for maximum cooperation as he assures of commitment to hear and determine all petitions on their merit. The first activity of the 5-member panel was to strike out the petition of Action Alliance AA after its withdrawal. Factional chairman of the party, Adekunle Rufai, said the petition was against INEC's mode of conduct of the polls and not against TINUBU's victory, and that the proposed policies of the president-elect resonate with what the party leadership holds dear.
This petition was in the main an attempt to bring INEC back to appreciate that no matter how powerful they are, they cannot disobey court orders. About 8 judgments told INEC that this man standing beside me is the national chairman of the party and not any other person. 2 federal high courts told INEC that they must deal with the list he submits and upload them as candidates. INEC ignored all the orders, including the orders of the Court of Appeal, which said the man you are dealing with is not even a member of the party.
Very useless people.
One of the reasons advanced by some of our leaders as well is the belief in the ability of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed TINUBU, being a proponent of restructuring, which has been one major reason why we have the barrage of agitation in our land today. We evolved a kind of policy that could engender resurgence of trust in our togetherness as a national entity. Truth be told, our country, Nigeria today, is at the precipice. We need a personality that believes in policies that can rebuild trust in the aggrieved indigenous nationalities.
Following that, there were pre-hearing sessions for the Action People's Party, APP, which says it will not withdraw its petition, and that by Peter Obi's Labour Party, with the court fixing Wednesday 10th May for continuation. The pre-hearing for the People's Democratic Party, PDP, holds Tuesday.
I'm a lawyer. I have the consent of my clients, however it is. So if going forward, they give me an instruction, I will take the instruction. But as of today, we are going on and we are strongly coming back on the 10th of May. That's Wednesday, for the continuation of the pre-hearing session.
One way or the other, I do not think that it will business as usual as far as Nigerian side is concerned. And we have assured the court that we will do all that we can to ensure that these petitions are heard expeditiously. On our part, all the lawyers for all the parties also committed themselves to cooperating with the tribunal, the court, to make sure that these matters are dealt with urgently because of their national importance. So we are very happy to go through petitions have been dealt with, and two, to come up tomorrow, and the very important ones, article and PDP petition will be coming up.
The pre-hearing session for the Allied People's Movement, APM, also holds on Tuesday as the Presidential Election Petition Court tidies up the documents before it as it gets clarity on the number of witnesses and exhibits that will be tendered for the petition proceedings when it gets fully underway. Godfrey Eshemoge, Arise News.
The petition is going on. Yeah.
And so it begins.
Well, cake.
There's a lot we'll talk about when the actual hearing actually begins. This is a pre-hearing, which is a legal ritual to set, as we saw, a few, just to begin and to pre-hear the cases from each of the parties. Now, some of the highlights of what happened yesterday, this much-awaited presidential election petition tribunal presided by the presiding justice of the Abuja Appeal Court, Justice Haruna Samani, whose name will perhaps become very popular in the next coming days. It's a team of 5 justices, and they'd be the ones to oversee the cases. As we saw there, the AA had withdrawn their petition, and the court had subsequently struck it out as well. And what they cited was that it was for unity of the nation. In his speech, the chairman of a faction of the party had said that they didn't want what had happened in June 12. What they were really against was how INEC conducted the elections, not necessarily contesting the fact that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu won the election. So that was one part of it, making it down to now 4 parties in the suit. We have the Labour Party, we have the AA, and then we have the PDP and the APM, and then of course defending would be the APC. We saw the show of the best, some of the best legal minds in Nigeria representing some of these parties. One thing I must note is what the opening statement of the justice of the judge, who said that he wouldn't entertain time-wasting technicalities. He wanted the process to be as judicious as possible, in terms of justice being served. And this is what Nigerians are looking forward to. All eyes now on the judiciary, literally. Yeah. We haven't heard yet whether they would grant the prayers of the PDP to televise the procedure. However, what Nigerians will be keenly watching is to see just how well the justices will handle the cases. What we're looking forward to is that justice is served. At the end of the day, the belief is that Nigerians would be better, able to accept the outcome of the results if they see that it's not thrown out based on technicalities, that indeed the merit of the case is what is truly judged, and that at the end of the day, the best or the one who's supposed to win is the one that emerges as winner. But as I mentioned, this is just pre-hearing. We'll get to the actual hearings in the next few days.
Well, the A is already out of the case. Left in the case is the APP, the LP, the Labour Party, the APM, and the PDP. Nobody should be surprised if before the matter continues, other political parties also decide to withdraw and say, they will no longer follow through with their petition. The Action Alliance, of course, the key issue is that the party is factionalized. The two parties asking for the same. The court was left with no option but to say, well, since both of you are asking for the same thing, you might as well just withdraw your suit and get out of the arena. But I think the more important issue is that, that panel of 5 justices, led by Justice Samani, made a point, appealing to the bar, not to come up with all kinds of frivolous excuses to delay the matter. And it was good that all the lead counsel also stood up and said, well, we will cooperate with the court. But because the biggest problem with judicial process in Nigeria is the funny conduct of counsel, who are themselves supposed to be officers in the temple of justice. So that's big reassurance. But we'll see whether the lawyers will play according to the rule or they would find ways to delay the process. The second point made by Justice Samani is that he promised that the court will be fair to all. That's also very important because indeed all eyes are on the judiciary. The integrity of the judiciary has been called to question by most persons saying, go to court, as if they have a premeditated idea of the outcome in the courts of law of the land. So, their lordships have a responsibility to ensure, indeed, as they have promised, that justice is done. That, again, is very important. The third point has to do with the request for live broadcast by the PDP. Well, the court will inquire into that and take a decision. It will be the first time that we'll have televised, broadcasting of court proceedings. And many learned persons have said, look, this is not an issue. The whole idea by the PDP and Atiku Abubakar pushing for that is to inspire confidence in the process and trust in the process. Okay? But however, what nobody has talked about is the issue of cost. The TV stations and the radio stations that will broadcast and televise live, they'll bear cost. 1 hour broadcast of proceedings, 2 hours broadcast of proceedings. There are implications. Who is going to pick up that cost? Who is going to pay for it? Well, I have my own ideas, but I don't want to push in that direction so that my contribution will not be considered masturbatory but there is also cost involved. But in terms of public interest, yeah, it may be a good idea for all of us to monitor what goes on, in that presidential election petition tribunal. However, despite all of this, I have argued that whatever happens, and without prejudice to whatever happens, it looks like the stage is already set for inauguration on May 29th. Bola Ahmed TINUBU, once he's inaugurated, he is already acting presidential. After all, in Wakako the other day, they declared 2 days holiday. He has moved into defense house. He is already acting presidential. The residual point that Nigerians will have to deal with is, must we, should we, indeed can we, determine election petitions before anybody is sworn in? Because once you are sworn in, you are given the presidential sash. Sometimes
it is difficult. Yeah, very difficult.
To see the process.
Because the guy will fight. He will fight hard. Fight with his last blood. And we don't need that.
Whether the courts will be radical or the courts will function along the lines
of we want the law to take its course. That is what we want.
From the technicalities of law.
Okay, so one thing is certain. Finally, we're here. Go to court, go to court, go to court. Court is the hope of the common man, the last resort. We're in court. Everybody's in court. Nigeria is in court. Those that have won are in court. Those that didn't win are in court. Everybody will get their cases heard up. You've got 5 justices there that will sit. You want to look at the case in the Court of Appeal. And when people still feel disgruntled, they have a right to go to the Supreme Court. This has always been the hallmark of our judicial process. To a large extent, the elections were highly contested, and there were lots of discrepancies. We shouldn't deceive ourselves with what happened as regards the IRF portal, the insecurity, and a lot that happened during the election. And that's on the basis of this, people and political parties are challenging. For the future, I think to be able to deepen democratic tenets, we should look at concluding electoral cases before swearing in happens. And you see, in recent times, we've seen the very, very virulent attacks on the likes of Bishop Onayeko, which is not needed. Because the clergyman just stated what was recommended in the Uwais panel report. And I think people should go back and read that report. President Umar Musa Yar'Adua came in. He said he knew there were challenges with the elections. He set up the Uwais panel report. Job was concluded before 2010. Those were the things that were recommended. So if we're true to the democratic tenets, we can actually conclude election petition before swearing in.
Yes.
If we want to do something in this country, we can do it. If we don't want to do it, we'll bring in sentiment and antics.
If energy is there, they can do it, they can push it.
That's number one. Yeah. Number two, yes, it's pre-trial stage, cases will be held out. We also know what happened to the AA. That was pretty much pre-election matter, internal party squabble, factionalization, and all of that. But the substantive cases, I would like to see how forensics will be used to empirically analyze results. And this is going to be the first elections where we're going to see the need for a server. Because in the last presidential election tribunal, which I had the privilege, in fact, those were my early days in Arise, which I had the privilege to cover here, and that long ruling read out in 2019. The problem was the fact that there was no recognition of a server in the law. So this is the first time there's no recognize the server. We want to see the interplay of the server. Amazon Web Services will be heavily mentioned, and all the forensics and technicalities and technological technicalities. So we'll see how all of that plays out, and we'll have to see all the good arguments. And I like that to go back and say it should be bin life. It should be bin life. The state broadcaster NTA can take up the cost. At least we all, saw how we all binned life or put a panel while it lasted in the country. And other people can take fees from them. They can take up the cost for the sake of national interest. And I'm sure every media house would like to cover it because this is going to give them eyeballs. What do media houses need? They need eyeballs to be able to sell to advertisers. Any radio or TV station showing the proceedings can sell advert slots at that time and make a lot of money because it's going to be a lot of eyeballs. And it's going to be one of the most watched television programs if the court finally accepts, that. So as regards that, and hey, we build the judgment that lasted